the club, we'll do it tonight, yeah. From the back to the left to the right, yeah. All them girls looking hot, looking tight, yeah. Come on and move from the wall to the light, yeah. I don't know, maybe you didn't hurt me. Gonna lose it tonight, yeah, no mercy. We're gonna turn it up crazy. We're gonna turn it up, ooh. Let me see your hand, let me see your hands. Let me see your hand, let me see your hands. Let me see your hand, let me see your hands. Let me see your hand, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. We gonna run like a dance, no care. Poppin' bottles, you know how we do.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about Insecure. The episode 7 just went off and it was titled Chillin, okay? And that's exactly what they were doing this episode. They ditched all their plans and stayed in the house and had a girls' night. So I thought that was really cute.
Mm-hmm. I always like girls' nights.
I knew they weren't going to dinner. I knew they weren't going to make it.
Mm-mm.
Well, it seemed like they were having so much fun with the playlist going, and then they were smoking and drinking. I just was like, oh, they ain't going nowhere.
We're playing the game and stuff. I mean, there was no need. They were already settled and stuff.
I always
If they start drinking, it wasn't going to happen.
I always like girls' night too, but I was never invited.
Well, I thought it was funny that they were playing the game, pulling the questions out of the hat. And some of the questions that came up, I mean, Ron, I know you don't want to answer this one, but Issa's exes, I mean, I think we can all agree about Daniel.
Yes.
Issa asked the question on Twitter, and I responded to her. I was like, Daniel and Lawrence, but really Daniel, number one.
I take the fifth on that one.
Yeah, let's hope you would.
And, Issa talked a little bit about Nathan. It seems like everybody was kind of expressing themselves. There was a lot of things within their friend group that they hadn't expressed to the others. It seemed like it had been like 3 months since they had all gotten together as the group. And so there was a lot of things that had gone down that maybe the rest of the girls weren't aware of. And so Issa starts talking about her situation with Nathan and how he called her, what did he call her?
Inconsistent?
Inconsistent, yes. And so they're like, oh, big shocker there. So we talked about that last week. And then, of course, Molly starts talking about Tori and she gets that call from him where she's over in the corner, like blushing on the phone and, making all of these smiling faces. And the girls are like watching her like, since when was this a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm still hopeful that things will work out between them because I do like them as a couple.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't mess up the work relationship. But it was funny when Issa said she was getting ready to send that text for her. I was like, no, snatch the phone from Issa. I was like, no. I was like, don't let her do that. Don't let her do that. For me, I felt like Tiffany was the voice of reason on several things tonight, especially that when she was like, how about let's go get drinks? I was like, okay, that's something a little less subtle, not too overt and everything, nothing sexual. So I was glad. I was like, when Issa started saying, I'm gonna send this, I was like, snatch the phone from Issa.
It's a lot better
than
Kelli.
I thought was
Kelli too. I was like, don't let neither one of them touch the phone.
No. Yeah, Kelli is out. But I like the fact that Molly and Tori, it looks like their relationship, if it's going to be one, it looks like it's growing organically, and hopefully, that's where they keep it. I was like you when Issa was talking about sending a text. I'm like, that is not the right thing to do because you don't know where this boy is right now.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I thought about it. I was like, see.
I was gonna say, how about when Dro called? Because
I was like, send him the voicemail. I was like, absolutely do not pick up that phone for Dro.
Block the call.
Block. Yeah, block him. Delete the number.
I wonder what he wanted in the first place.
Probably was a booty call. Who knows? Knowing Dro, like that's what type of. I mean, yeah.
Well, you know, just before the show started, Thierry, you were saying, or Tiffany, it's like, you know, when you think you have your plans, you know, everybody from out of the woodwork starts to come back.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what she was experiencing.
Yeah, when you're hooked up.
And it seems like that's always the case. And I know we were going to talk about Lawrence, you know, the situation, because Issa, of course, was lit and she was about to make that phone call. And I appreciated Molly telling her, like, wait until tomorrow when you sober and see if you still want to make the call. I was like, that's a good friend right there.
Yeah, right.
But as we see.
But of course, you know, Nathan called and he actually apologized. He finally said that he actually does love her and that he is not going to leave. So timing, wow. Talk about timing.
He said all the right things. And I think that he does love her. I just was like, oh, now I think she still loves Lawrence.
Yeah. Now, what should she have done at that point? I mean, talking to, you know, Nathan gives it up, says, hey, I love you. She says, I love you back. Now, where do we go from here? Because we know daggone well, Issa is not ready for Nathan.
I know.
It's tough. It's really tough because I think, like you said, Nathan said everything she was waiting to hear. And the fact that Lawrence called back, I think he was really just returning her phone call versus, you know, trying to spark something with her. And so I don't know where Lawrence is. I know Issa expressed that she wanted more closure from the situation. And I really liked what Tiffany had to tell her, because she was saying that sometimes the smart choice and the right choice are not the same thing. And I was like, you know, that's a word right there.
It was a word, because she feels like, they're like, it's not smart because he has a child with someone else. But when she's saying that, Tiffany was pretty much telling her, like, to follow your heart. You're not just making a head choice here, you know? And you see, you know, when you go through enough experiences, especially as you get older, the things that you feel are deal breakers are not always deal breakers when it comes down to matters of the heart.
Yeah, well, I thought, okay, if it's not the smart choice, if it's not the right choice, well, is it the best choice? And I guess it's there has to be something there. I mean,
it's who's gonna make you happy and stuff. For me, I'm not one to settle. And I'm not saying that Nathan is settling, because he's a good dude too. But if her heart is not really with him, then she would be settling.
But you know what? On the flip side of that, though, because we're talking about everybody having bad timing in these situations, and Nathan called Issa when she was kind of feeling like she wanted to call Lawrence. But how about the way Lawrence probably felt? Because he and Condola were getting along really well tonight.
Yeah, they were.
And, you know, they were kind of bonding and talking about, you know, the fact that Condola almost got the abortion. And they expressed how much happiness their child has brought both of them. And so it seems like they're on the up and up. But then, you know, as things are going well with Lawrence and Condola, then Issa calls. And I bet Lawrence is like, you know, that's when things are going well.
And like I said earlier, I think Lawrence is that kind of family guy. He's a family man. And I can see that, you know, with the baby, he got the baby to eat when Condola was having a little problem. You know, he played the choo-choo train thing and she did the airplane thing, which I remember quite well, doing the same thing with one of my kids. But, you know, if Lawrence just seems to be, to me, he would be much happier staying with that nucleus that he has with Condola and the baby.
Staying if he's not going to resent her or the situation, right? If he
Right.
if he is either over Issa or if he comes to some kind of resolve that that's a choice for him and that he can live with it. But outside of that, I think he needs to be clear too.
No, true. And I don't think he can blame Issa. I think that you're right. He has to come to a resolve. I have a family. I think he can learn to love Condola if he doesn't. And I think that baby, now, a lot of people say you shouldn't stay in a relationship when a child is involved, but I don't see that kind of animosity between them. I just think that they need to get on.
I mean, yeah, that's cool that they can co-parent and stuff like that. And I mean, that's ideal to have a 2-parent household and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect, and that's how God intended it to be. However, like again, I talked about this before. I don't like the idea of settling, and I don't. And me, if I was in Condola's place, I don't want. And speaking for Tiffany, not just Condola, I don't want anyone to have to learn to love me. I want you to.
But I think that's.
I mean, and I understand that life is not a fairy tale and all of that, but
I think it's organic though. I think when you meet somebody or when you're in a relationship for the first year or two, you may love things about them. You may love the way they take care of themselves. You may love the way they take care of their home. You may love the way they treat you. But I think being in love with somebody, that's a growth thing. And I think you grow into that, through trial and error when you go through things. And I think that you could see that with Condola and Lawrence when they, took that minute to relax and say to each other, hey, I'm sorry I did this. That was big. And, and she recognizing that he's a good father. Because I know that for a man, a good man, a fatherly type man, that's what you want to hear from your lady, So I think there's enough there for them to get along, or rather not just get along, but
they could make a go of it. I mean, it's possible. I'm not taking that off the table at all. I'm just saying,
based on what Kelli has told Issa, basically that the last time she seen them at Simone's birthday party, I mean, they were a hot mess. And so in Issa's mind, it's like, oh, it's trouble in paradise over there for them. It's not all, because in a few episodes ago, she was having imaginations of Condola and her big ring and saying just thinking everything was so perfect between Lawrence and Condola. And so the fact that Kelli comes to her this week and says, oh no, they was beefing.
And she also assumed that because he was back that they were back together. And that's not actually so. They're actually just co-parenting right now. So that's the other thing. In her mind, they're back together. And I think that's another reason why she's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go ahead with Nathan. Because she thinks that's a done deal. But what if he tells her, no, we're actually just co-parenting? I think that's going to be big trouble in Little China for Nathan in that relationship.
I agree.
What we part of it looks like that she opted to break up with Lawrence because she thought it would be too much, right? But what if part of it was her insecurity that at the end of the day he would choose Condola anyway? That because she knows he's a good guy, that he's the family man, that in the end he would really want to be there to raise his child. And so maybe if part of her breaking up with him was that insecurity that at some point he would do it anyway.
And that's smart. I mean, that would be smart for Issa to even think that way. And I think that that's a conversation that Issa should have with him, because that's a very, I think, a very accurate reading of Lawrence in terms of the kind of man he is. You know? So
she made the choice for him. That's not a choice I think he would have made on his own, though.
Right. I don't think he would have made that on his own either.
She definitely helped him along. Issa has to step into the bed she's laid for herself, because she made the decision. Like y'all said, she chose to separate from Lawrence. And now that she's having, kind of these regrets, or I won't even say regrets, but she's struggling with her feelings. it seems like she doesn't really have accountability. She's saying she wanted closure, but you ended it. So like,
right.
What are you doing?
Right.
She really is so all over the place.
And I'm so glad
And
you
I
said
just want
that.
her to get it together.
It's true.
Glad,
she let him go.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because I sat there when she said the closure, and I'm thinking, well, if you want closure, close it. I mean, you're the one that opened the door, left out that door, shut the door behind you, and you're now asking for closure. I'm like, well, what does that look like for you?
But that, I think that's the point Kelly was, I mean, not Kelly, but Tiffany was saying she made a head decision, not a heart decision.
Exactly. Exactly.
But sometimes that's all you have. Sometimes that's just all you have.
You know,
I just want Issa to figure out her feelings. She needs to sort it out, and she needs to be like decisive in what she's trying to do, because like she has two people's feelings in the balance and her own feelings too. And so it's like, it's not okay to play around with people's emotions like that and have them on the emotional roller coaster with you.
Yeah.
But you know what I was gonna say about that head decision thing and real life. I remember around the time when the news broke about Gabby and Dwayne. Wait, I'm going there. About the baby that they had when they were broken up, and it's before they got married. I'm on social media all the time, and all these people, I couldn't believe them saying, you know, she shouldn't marry him. She shouldn't marry him, and you know, and maybe because she's older, she just must really want to get married. Like I saw a lot of negative things, and I was like, how about she loves the man, and she got beyond it. And if she got beyond it, then nobody else should care. And then we see fast forward to now where they look very happy and they have a child of their own and stuff. So she made the choice that was best for her. She chose her heart, and outwardly, that's why I wonder if it could be a pride thing with Issa. Like, you know, like is she thinking about how people are going to look at her? If she decides to go with Lawrence and he has a child with someone else. The bottom line is, if you love that man, it's nobody's business. It's nobody's business. If she loves that man and that's something that you guys want to work out, that's for you.
Yeah, and Issa might be that type of woman that just doesn't want a baby mama drama. You know, maybe she doesn't want to date a man that already has a kid. You know, because there are a lot of women out there like that.
Yeah, I come into agrees with you, Tiara, that
Issa's all over the place.
All over the place, and that Lawrence is not the right choice. So we'll see. We got a few more episodes. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, because shout out to JL O'Brien for hanging with us this late.
Yes, and I think it's possible that she might walk away from both of them. I mean, we talked about that. She may decide that she ain't ready to be with anybody and that she might be by herself for a while.
And that might be
another relationship.
I think that's the best choice, because Issa really, she has to sort herself out. She needs to figure out what she wants. And I think this is the thing about being in your early 20s, going into your 30s. It's like you really start to learn yourself. And what your boundaries and your tolerances are. And I think that some of the things that she, like you were saying, versus the head versus the heart. In your early 20s, you have that kind of pride and arrogance about yourself, like, oh no, I'm not going to put up with that, I'm not going to tolerate that. But then as you get older, you realize, like you said, if it's not a fairy tale and things happen, it's time you just got to work with the cards you're dealt. And so I think that that's what Issa is, and all of her friend group, they're all starting to realize that. Even Tiffany, she had a moment where she was saying that she's moving to Denver because Derek got a job. And then she expressed like, well, what if I have more kids? What if I have like postpartum issues again? Who's going to be there to support me? And I think that even Tiffany, somebody who seemingly has it all together and is always like, everybody looks up to her, she doesn't even have it all together, and she has these insecurities, of course, because that's what the show is called. So it's like everybody's kind of learning themselves along this journey.
And I like the way they reassured her that even if she did move to Denver, that they would be on the next flight, you know, to see her. That wouldn't stop their friendship. And that's a road trip, or, you know, that's another girl's trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's reminiscent of when they went to Coachella. You know, she is the one who's married first, who has a baby first, who seems to be really stepping into adulthood faster than the rest of her friends. So it seems like she's always the one who's making these really adult decisions. And you know, and it's kind of like you do have to be kind of brave because they're your peers, but they're not in that same situation. And so so I think I can kind of I feel her on that and how it's scary for her.
And I feel like Tiffany is also the type that likes to check off boxes. Like, okay, I got the good job. I got married by 30. I had the baby by 32 or 30. Like, she likes to set milestones and achieve those goals. And I feel like when things are not on that path of what she laid out, it makes her nervous.
It does, because you remember Derek had said that the baby came sooner than what they planned in their timeline for having children.
Yeah. So the move will be uncertain, you know, for her. So
I think that for them, all of them, you just have to embrace life because there are going to be changes. You know, Derek and Tiffany may move to Denver. That's going to be a big change in that team relationship. You know, who knows with Issa. I do agree that she should wind up with nobody. I think because right now her mind is very toxic, and you don't want to, you know, push that toxicity on everybody else. So it may be best that she doesn't wind up with Nathan or Lawrence. Just sit back and kind of clear the cobwebs from her head because she needs some time for herself.
Well, if you've seen the previews for next week, it looks like she's doing the exact opposite of what you're saying. Nathan is actually spending the night with her.
They practically moved in, you know. We're talking about your stuff is here, so we'll see.
We sure will.
And it's different when you're under one roof.
Oh my God.
You know, so
way different.
Yeah. So
you know, whenever they're in a group conversation like that, I think it's very important to listen to Kelli. She has the best lines.
Yes. She's hilarious.
She is. That is true.
But I think that it's only a matter of time. I don't know if it's going to happen next week, but it seemed like Issa and Nathan were out somewhere and they seen somebody that might have caught them off guard. And so I was like,
walk maybe. I wonder if it's her next event.
Yeah, it looked like she had another event because she was talking about all the money that she made, singing to herself in the mirror. So it's gonna be another one of those episodes where we get to see Issa versus Issa. And then also there's Molly setting up the accounts for her parents, which is long overdue. And Kelli is assisting with that, so you know that's guaranteed to be a riot. Kelli gonna tie this up next. So I'm looking forward to it. This would be episode 7, so it's winding down. Only 3 left.
You only got 3 episodes left.
I can't figure out where this is going to end. I think Issa's probably just going to end up by herself. I think Molly's going to pursue Torian. Kelli is probably going to get her spinoff. We're going to see that.
You think Trina's going to be in a spinoff?
I could see it. She's so funny. Or even like, I wonder if Molly would have one. We'll see. But I definitely think that Kelli might. It said, didn't Issa run it? I'm looking at the comments. Didn't Issa run into Crenshaw in the apartment?
Maybe that's who they ran into.
Yeah. And see,
she
might backtrack on Nathan and Lawrence and go with him. So you just don't know where Issa may go.
No, but I hope I hope Lawrence will put his foot down and tell Issa, like, you can't play with my emotions like that.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I would not welcome her back with open arms.
No, she didn't cut him loose, and then as soon as he's, seems to be settling into a co-parenting with Condola, then she calls, or you definitely can't be yo-yoing with people's feelings.
My opinion, stay with what you got. Stay with what you got.
I hear you. I was gonna say something. It crossed my mind, but I never mind.
Okay, well, I don't have anybody to put on our hands list. I mean, I really do kind of want to put Issa on there, but I have sympathy for her too, because I know she's it's not intentional. She's just indecisive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know I was gonna say. Yeah, I don't know either. This week about the hands list. I was gonna say when they were talking about Daniel, I was hoping we would get a cameo.
Maybe that's who they run into next week.
Yeah, I was like, I would like to see Daniel again, especially since this is the last season.
I think I said it at the first episode.
Huh?
I think I said that at the first episode that I'd like to see Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, it's the last season. Why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
No.
I took the fifth.
It was a really good episode.
Yeah, it was. So I just want to thank everybody for watching with us. Thank you so much for staying up late and joining us. Make sure that you click the subscribe button on our channel, the video, and also make sure that you click the notification bell so that you're alerted every time we post. And we would love to hear what you thought about this episode. So drop down in the comment section and let us know. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok as well. We are on all of those platforms and we follow back. And next week we'll be back to talk about episode 8. And make sure that you also check out some of our other recaps. We're doing Power Book 2 as well. And we have also started recapping 20s. So that's another great show that we love. And we just started recapping. So check out our recaps of that as well. You guys got anything to add?
No, I'm looking at the comments from JL O'Brien. You're welcome.
Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
So I think we're going to call it a night. It's getting late. So we'll see you all same time, same place next week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Night.
Look at my neck bright. I get that check right. I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe. Off of that side. I'm in that new coupe. My nigga, I been fired. I said what I said, right? Yeah. I get that check right. I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe. Off of that